I'm Chris Lewis, firefighter for the Lakeville Fire Department, and welcome to another edition of On Call. The goal of this program is to educate and inform the citizens of Lakeville about how their all-volunteer fire department trains in response to emergencies. Let's take a look at what's coming up on this edition of On Call. Engineer Jeff Denny joins me to cover how the fire department keeps our trucks ready for emergencies. Fire Chief Mike Meyer checks out some day training on what firefighters do as they first arrive at a structure fire. Firefighter Steven Higgins from Station 2 answers a viewer question in Ask the Firefighter. I will get you caught up on the latest happenings around the fire department. And Scratch the Fire Dog learns about fire hydrants here in the city. Residents and business owners expect a quick response from emergency responders when they call 911. That means for us at the fire department that all our equipment is ready to go at a moment's notice. To make sure our trucks, tools, and supplies are in top-notch working condition, we perform truck checks on a regular basis. And if we find any issues, we get those taken care of as quickly as possible. Joining us today is Jeff Denny, an engineer at Fire Station 3. Jeff, thanks for joining us.
No problem, Chris. Glad to be here.
Perfect. So why don't you tell me, what does an engineer do at Lakeville Fire?
Well, an engineer is responsible for driving the trucks on a scene, whether it's a structure fire, car accident, medicals, but also we take care of all the equipment on the trucks themselves too.
Okay, and that's what we do with our truck checks and stuff,
yes,
right?
Yes, truck checks, yes.
So if we're on a scene or if we're driving to a scene and you are in charge of the truck, what does that exactly entail?
Well, if you're rolling up in a structure fire, you have, as an engineer, I'd be driving the truck, you have an officer up front with you, and you have a crew in the back. So you'd roll up, and you would tag a fire hydrant, you would get the truck lined up so you could pump water to the fire crew so they could...
So you're not actually going in?
Nope, you're taking care of all the equipment.
Okay, and then if somebody were to come to you, that's the advantage of being an engineer as well, is if somebody came to you looking for a piece of equipment,
yes,
you know exactly where it is.
Yes, know the trucks pretty intimately, yes.
Okay, and that's how we get to learn them is through the truck checks, am I right?
Yes.
So why don't you tell us what we have for trucks here at Station 3?
Okay, well, Station 3, we have 3 trucks. We have the engine, which primary responsibility is for structure fires, things of that nature. We have the rescue, which takes care of car accidents, medicals, things of that nature. And then we have the brush behind me, which is for grass fires, brush fires, things like that.
Okay, also blocking traffic, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
blocking traffic. It's a great traffic blocker, yeah.
All right, perfect. So when we do our truck checks, I mean, I know we do them on a regular basis, you know, maybe once a month or more frequently. What exactly are we doing with that?
Well, the engine per se, there's 2 different sides of the equipment on there. One's life support with the SCBAs, the breathing apparatuses for the fire crews. So I like to pull those all out, completely inspect each one, make sure the bottles are full, check the alarms on them, things like that. Thermal imaging camera, make sure that's good to go for them. But also the truck, the pumps and things on itself. Yeah, I want to make sure I operate it, bring it up to pressure, make sure everything's functioning properly, the water tank's full, the foam tank's full, things like that.
So as engineer, you basically are in charge of this truck, top to bottom.
Yes.
All tools and equipment and everything like that.
Good or bad, yes.
Good. So what do we do? So say you're doing a truck check and a piece of equipment's broken.
Okay, well, what we try to do, if it's something we can fix in-house, well, the engineers here at Station 3, you know this, being an engineer yourself, we try to fix it ourselves. If it's something that's outside our scope, we'll either talk to, we'll talk to the captain and lieutenant, and it'll be deferred to the city for maintenance or repair, or if it's outside their scope, we'll go through the training chief and it'll go to the appropriate vendor for repair.
Fantastic. So why don't you, would you like to actually take us around, show us some parts of the trucks, what we have to do and look for, and what we might find while we're doing a truck check?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. All right, Jeff, so now we're here at the fire engine, engine 3. And I mean, up front, where we basically drive and hit the lights and sirens and everything.
Right.
But back here is the cab where we keep a lot of equipment that the guys and girls will put on during or on our way to a call.
Right.
What can you tell me about what's in the cab here?
Well, basically, like you said, Chris, this is the crew cab. We've got spots for 5 different firefighters back here, 5 different SCBAs, which is the self-contained breathing apparatus that each firefighter will wear into the structure fire. We have our thermal imaging camera, or TIC as we call it. That's kind of our secret weapon, allows us to find hidden hot spots in walls and things like that. We have our different lights, some of the basic tools back here.
Okay, so and we'll check that every month. right?
We'll
Or
check-
do we do it more than that?
Well, we do check it on a minimum monthly, but we also, anytime we take the truck out, any equipment that was used, we go through it to make sure it's back into a ready state again.
Okay, perfect. So then let's move back, and here we've got the panel. Now, what does this really complicated thing do?
Well, this is kind of the heart of the truck when you're pumping flowing water on the fire scene. It looks kind of complicated, but it's really not if you break it down. Basically, we've got a couple speedway hoses, and all that is our 2 hoses up front. They're 1.5 or 1.75 hoses, so that we can rapidly get them out to a small fire. We've also got our 2 pre-connects off the back for foam for a car fire, and then we have our larger pre-connects.
Okay. So, and then, but on a structure fire or car fire or whatever you're working, as the engineer, this is where you are sitting.
Yeah, this is where I'm at, making sure that we, our pressures are up, we're at the correct RPM, our fuel's good to go, we're flowing the right pressure and GPM to the firefighters.
So everything you need to know about the truck for water.
Yep,
is
it's
right
at this
here.
panel here, yes.
Okay, perfect. Let's move back even more. What can you tell us about these panels here?
Well, this is some of the extra connections we may need on the scene, like a Y if we need to split a hose out into 2 different smaller diameter hoses. We have some fire extinguishers, like if we have a car accident, we need to cut the cable on the car, we'd have a fire extinguisher ready there in case we sparked off anything.
Yep. Okay, now we're a little bit further back. And I mean, because I know you said in the intro that the truck is divided into 2 sides.
Yes.
One is life safety, one is tools and equipment. This must be life safety.
This
here.
is life safety, correct. So we got our spare SCBA bottles for the pack that we just showed you up there.
Yep.
We can go through air pretty quickly on scene. So this we have our spare bottles. We have our RIT pack. Anytime that we're involved in a structure fire, we have a team or a crew inside, a crew on deck, and we have a RIT crew in case we have to go in for a rescue of a team. Our throw bags with some small line.
Okay. And then, I mean, this is things we'll check every month at the minimum.
At a minimum
right?
monthly, yes.
Making sure those bottles are good and full
Yes.
for us. And then we come back here. What are we looking at in this panel?
Oh, well, basically we got some spare foam on here. Like I said, with some of the 2 of the hoses, pre-connects have the capability for foam. We have a foam tank on board, so we can fill that tank with these. But we also, with our portable foam pack, we keep that, or we can fill that up and use it. We have floor dry if there's a car accident, so we can absorb any of the oil on the scene.
Okay.
We have a small Yamaha generator basically for portable light. We can run power off it if we need to.
When would we spray foam?
Well, anytime you have basically a Class Bravo fire, which would be a fuel fire, you want to smother it, that's where we use foam.
Just to extinguish the
Right.
oxygen to the flame.
Right.
All right, great. Well, I'll tell you what, now that we've run through this side, let's go over to the other side and see what kind of foam
Sure.
we got over there. All right, Jeff, now we're on the passenger side or the officer side of the truck, and as you can see, we've got the door coming out on this side for the crew, but this panel looks a whole lot emptier than the one on the other side. Why is that?
It's a lot more basic, you're right, Chris. Basically what we have here is our 6-inch suction from a hydrant. We have another 2.5-inch suction down here, and then we have a 2.5 discharge and a 5-inch discharge. And this would be basically if we were in a relay pump to another truck, we could feed it, our pump, hook our discharge to their intake, and basically feed them.
Okay, or we can, if we have a hydrant right here, we don't
Yes.
have to run it all the way
Yep,
around
this
the
would be our
truck.
suction to the
Okay,
truck from a hydrant.
fantastic. Well, let's see what else we got back here. What are we looking at in this door?
What we have here is we've got it's an emergency generator. It's our AC power. Basically, we can run power to these reels and up to the scene, or we also have some other reels we'll talk about in a minute on the back of the truck. But we also have some scene lights on the vehicle that this will power up.
Perfect, yeah. All right, now we move back to this cabinet, and it looks like there's a lot of toys in here. What are we looking at?
Well, this is the basic firefighter tools that the firefighters use up on the scene. Probably the most common that we would use would be the Halligan tool that we can use to pry doors, open walls. We have our pipe holes for pulling down drywall, for overhead ceiling. Got our different axes, pickaxes, etc.
Perfect. And a couple of brooms in there, too,
Yes.
to
Car accidents,
sweep
yes.
up all that glass and everything,
Yes.
too. So, well, let's keep going back
Okay.
here. And what do we got in here? This one, I see a lot of just red chests. What are we looking at?
Basically, we got 3 different saws here. We have our standard chain saw up there. We have a cut-off saw for if we had to cut some like metal railing or something like that.
Okay.
And then we have a quick vent saw if we had to get up on the roof of a house to cut a hole so we could vent the smoke and the heat
Okay.
out the top.
So we would actually climb up, just cut a hole in the roof, and then what would be the advantage of that on scene?
Well, two reasons. One, the black smoke inside the house is unburned fuel. By cutting a vent in the top, we can basically force or evacuate that unburned fuel from the top.
Okay. And then visibility.
And visibility
heat
to clear
and
up.
all that.
Absolutely.
All right, perfect. Well, let's go around back and see what we've got left in the back of the engine here. What are we looking at?
Okay, well, one of the things we power off the generator is we have our fan for basically we can either put fresh air into a building or de-smoke the other way. Just depends how you want to set it up.
Right.
And we also have a power cord back here for the emergency generator so we can actually pull AC power up to the scene.
Excellent.
We also have we can hook up to a hydrant back here, or we can actually pull this out and actually pull water from a tank. If we're somewhere out remote where we don't have fire hydrants for the city, we'll pull a big a drop tank, put it in place, and we'll have relay trucks come in and dump water into that tank, and we actually use this foot strainer, and we just pull water from.
All right, great. And I also see a bunch of hoses. What are we looking at up here?
Well, when we were talking a few minutes ago up on the engineer's panel, the pre-connects, these are basically the pre-connects. This is the two foam hoses back here. We have 2.5 inches. One is a attack hose, the other is connected to our blitz nozzle.
Okay.
Blitz nozzle will basically set up, that's more of an exposure that we can set up, so operate by itself to keep the house next to the structure on fire cool.
Okay. And then I see a couple of...
And this is the hose that we would run from the hydrant to the truck for supplying water to the truck.
Perfect. So this is basically what we would bring, something where there is fire, if there's smoke, fire, whatever we need, or if we need more manpower on another call. And this is different than other trucks that the fleet has, am I right?
Yep, yes, it sure is. That's why it's real important for the engineers to be really familiar with the trucks at their station.
Okay.
There's common functionality across all the trucks, but there's some uniqueness to each one of them.
All right, so like you'll do a truck check or I'll do a truck check where we'll check all the equipment, make sure it's working. If it's not, we'll get it fixed so that this truck is always ready to go if we get a call. And then we'll do that for rescue and brush as well.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for joining us today, walking us through the engine, telling us a little bit about what the engineer does.
Great, my pleasure to be here today, Chris.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
Welcome to another edition of Chief's Corner. I'm Fire Chief Mike Meyer from the Lakeville Fire Department. Today I'm joined by Captain Jeff Anderson from Station 3. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you.
If you remember from our last segment, we did blue card training up with Burnsville Fire Department, and this is kind of a continuation of what we're doing there. So Jeff, kind of walk us through what we're doing today as far as we're kind of doing the boots on the ground from the blue card training.
Correct.
So training today involved for what did we accomplish this morning?
Yeah, what we're doing now with this morning's training and letting that kind of enter into our training in 2 weeks with our live burn training component is to go through the motions of what we call the two truck attack, and that is where the first truck arriving on scene at a structure fire is going to actually attack the fire with the water they have on board, and then the second truck will come in behind them and they'll supply the water from the fire hydrant to that first truck. So it enables us to get more into getting set up initially with the hose lines, getting water on the fire as quickly as possible, and then using that second crew and that second truck to go ahead and get the water hooked up to the first truck. Because we only have so much water on the first truck, we can run water for a little while just with that tank itself, but then we need to get the hydrant line or the hose line to the hydrant hooked up to that first truck as soon as we can. So this kind of incorporates both components. We're able to get water going as fast as we can with the first truck. Second truck and crew can get us water from the hydrant, and we can kind of save time that way, and it enables us to get water on the fire as quickly as possible.
Okay, and the one thing that we see a lot of hands-on stuff here. The one thing that we've been working on also since the winter months is that scene size up. So as the crews come in, they're trying to paint that picture. So can you kind of run through what kind of the steps that they go through when the person in that right front seat of the engine gives a size up?
Yeah, like Mike mentioned, with our what we call blue card training, it's kind of a standardized format for what we want to see happen, what information we want to get out on each one of these calls to our dispatcher, and then in turn that information gets out to our subsequent trucks that are coming in to the fire scene. So we want to basically arrive on scene first to get the information out that we've arrived at the address that we're going to, and then describe the type of a structure. In this case, a structure fire, we're going to describe the type of a structure that we have and what the conditions are and what our initial operation mode is going to be, if we're going to do a defensive strategy, an offensive strategy, and we'll get that out on the air. And then in addition to that, we want to make sure that we have our resources in place. So do we want to ask for more trucks? Do we want to ask possibly for trucks from another city? And that lends itself to more equipment and more personnel. And a lot of that's driven by the day of the week and the time of the day that we get the call. Also then, of course, we establish command. So that first truck or that first crew that gets on scene will go ahead and establish command, and they can be the decision maker initially, at least, as we get the operation in place, and then we just follow the steps after that.
Jeff, you mentioned time of day, so when would that be very crucial to us as far as that we do a two-truck attack and get things moving pretty quickly?
Yeah, like I mentioned, the two-truck attack lends itself to being able to get water quicker and get things in place quicker with limited manpower. So what happens is that we see typically on calls during the weekday that we may have a little bit less availability for personnel. So what we look at with this two-truck attack is that we're able to do more with less personnel. And so it works well for us when we're looking at limited manpower, or at least initially, till we can get more trucks on scene.
Okay, excellent. And the one thing, we talk about the two-truck attack, this is nothing new that we haven't been doing as far as a fire department, but the blue card and kind of putting all these pieces together is kind of driving us back to the basics. And we've been doing this for how long as far as doing the two-truck and such like that?
Yeah, we've had situations in years past with structure fires. And this procedure that we're practicing now, we're going over again and re-emphasizing and really just going back to the basics. It's doing pretty much what we've done in the past. It's just kind of just emphasizing that over again about how much we can accomplish with limited manpower and limited equipment initially. And it just kind of plays on a lot of what we've done in the past, so we're just kind of fine-tuning that a little bit.
Jeff, thanks for explaining everything today. I think that's very beneficial to us and for our viewers here. Thanks for joining me on Chief's Corner.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Call volumes for the past couple months are just below average compared to years past, with over 100 calls for service. One major incident was an overnight structure fire at North Creek Mobile Home Park in northeast Lakeville. When crews arrived, they found this home fully engulfed and started flowing water on it as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, the entire structure burned and was a total loss. Luckily, no one was home at the time of the fire, so no injuries were reported. The cause of the fire was undetermined. We have a couple calls that could have turned out much worse, but thankfully there were some fire extinguishers close by. One call was to a home in north central Lakeville where a microwave malfunctioned, causing a fire. The homeowner quickly put the fire out with an extinguisher. He then yanked the unit out of the wall and brought it outside to prevent any more damage from happening. As we have said in the past, kitchen fires are the most common type of fire in your home. If you don't have an extinguisher, please consider buying one just in case this happens to you. Another call that probably didn't get any worse because of a fire extinguisher happened in late April at Lakeville Sanitation. The driver was returning to their operations when he noticed smoke coming from the truck right as he was pulling into their facility. The driver and other employees found flames in the engine area and used a couple extinguishers to put out the fire. This could have easily caught the cab and the rest of the truck on fire, but thanks to some quick thinking, they were able to get it under control. Firefighters checked over the unit for hot spots and determined that the fire hadn't spread to other parts of the truck. Now, this next call didn't involve an extinguisher, but it might have been needed. A resident in the northeast part of town decided to use the self-cleaning option on her oven. This is a setting that gets the inside of the oven extremely hot to bake off everything, essentially cleaning it. During the cleaning, materials inside the oven heated up so much that they caught on fire. Luckily, the homeowner noticed the issue and called 911 for help. The oven was turned off and allowed to cool. By the time firefighters arrived, the house smelled of smoke and the oven was still extremely hot. Firefighters checked for hot spots and ventilated the residence. If you decide to use a self-cleaning feature on an oven, always read the instructions first and stay near the oven just in case something like this occurs. Or better yet, don't use this feature and clean it out with a little elbow grease. Firefighters were called out to the roundabout at Highview and Dodd Boulevard on the report of a rollover. Seems this driver had difficulties keeping the vehicle under control while navigating this new intersection. The driver was trapped until first responders extricated her from the vehicle. Firefighters assisted in getting her to an ambulance for treatment for her injuries. No report on the cause of why the vehicle was traveling so fast through this intersection, but this is a good reminder to all drivers to take caution when using the roundabout. Drivers that are in the roundabout have the right of way and always drive slowly entering and exiting the intersection. The fire department held its annual blood drive in early May. Blood was collected by the American Red Cross at Station 4. Special thanks to the firefighters and residents that donated their time and blood to help others in need. If you were unable to attend this event, there are more blood donation events occurring in our area throughout the summer. To see a list of events, visit www.redcrossblood.org. And finally, we would like to invite you to our annual fundraiser for our Relief Association. Our waffle breakfast during Panaprog is a way for you to support firefighters and also get a chance to get an up-close look at the fire department. This year's waffle breakfast is on Saturday, July 7th, starting at 7 a.m. at Fire Station 1, right across from City Hall. And that's just some of the things happening around the fire department.
Hi, my name is Steven Higgins, a firefighter out of Station 2, and today's Ask a Firefighter question came to us from Gavin, and his question was, what are your most common calls? Thanks for your question, Gavin. Firefighters respond to a variety of calls, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. While fighting fires is important, we also are trained to handle a variety of other situations that come out throughout the year. Last year, Lakeville Fire Department had 884 calls of service for firefighters to respond to. Now, one might think a majority were fire-related, but in actuality, fires only make up 7% of our calls, including 22 structure fires last year. The largest amount of calls are classified as good intent. These include situations where no real incidents occurred, such as smell of gas somewhere outside and nothing was found, or when a crew is canceled while en route to a scene. Another large percentage of calls are classified as false alarms. These type of calls are often called in by security companies that monitor a business or residence and some type of detector was tripped off, but there was never a real emergency. Medical assist is our next highest category. These are incidents that require us to assist paramedics on scene with care of patient. Vehicle accidents took 13% of calls last year. Most of the time, we respond to accidents to assist police and paramedics. We also help clean up debris and fluids from the scene, but occasion we are needed to extricate victims from a vehicle. Other categories of service include hazardous conditions, carbon monoxide, and severe weather. Thanks for your question, Gavin. If you have any other questions for Ask a Firefighter, use the contact information on your screen.
everyone, this is a Scratch the Fire Dog, because I like to scratch out the fires. Well, hey, I was walking around the city of Lakeville, and it hit me. Hey, there are so many fire hydrants around the city that I, Scratch, was wondering, first of all, how many they were and how they work. So I had my good friend from the utilities department, Troy, set to meet me so I can find out all of the information about fire hydrants. And oh, hey, there's my friend Troy over there. I'm going to meet him right now. Hey, Troy! Hey, Troy! Hey, there you are. How you doing, buddy?
Real good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I thank you so much for coming out here to tell me everything about the fire hydrants from the tippy top to the bottom. Are you excited?
Real excited.
Tell me some fun things about this fire hydrant, like how often do you paint them?
Probably comes to about once every 10 years. We do about 300-400 fire hydrants a year.
Very good, very good. Now, how come there's different openings? It looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4 different openings. How come there are different openings here?
Well, it's the different needs of the fire department, whatever hoses they need to hook up at the time.
Sure, sure. Now, what's this thing? Is this some GPS-er thing?
This is actually a hydrant marker. We get a lot of snow in Minnesota. It's easy to locate the fire hydrant when the fire department may need to use this hydrant.
Very good. Now, hey, you know what? These are very sturdy. What are they made out of? Steel?
Yep, cast iron.
Very good. Now, what happens if a car hits them?
Well, they're actually made to break off. This flange here will break off and the top portion will tumble off. And this is a replaceable flange, and there's a coupling inside on the rod that can be replaced.
A flange, huh? Can you say flange fast 3 times?
Flange, flange, flange.
Ah, that's very good, very good. Now, I notice you got a little hose here set up. What, is this part of the maintenance on taking care of the hydrants, Troy?
Yep, this part of our yearly maintenance. We hook up a hose and we test every fire hydrant once a year. Make sure the operation is good on it. So if it needs to be used, it's ready to go.
Awesome. Troy, could you hook up the hose and open up the water so we can see it splash all over, please?
Yeah, sure, we can do that.
All right, let's see you do it. Now, is there a certain direction that you have to open that?
Yes, it is.
Yeah?
Fire hydrants here open to the right. There are some other cities that will open the opposite way.
Do you know toilets in the southern hemisphere flush in the opposite than up here?
No, I didn't know that.
It's true. Yeah. Fun fact.
You ready?
I'm ready. What's going to happen here?
Well, you have to wait and see.
Oh, is this the on-off switch? I hear air. Oh, look at the hose. Oh no! Oh! She's blowing. It's a gusher. Now, how often do you have to do this, Troy?
Once a year.
Once a year? And what does it do again?
Well, it lets us make sure the operation is good on every fire hydrant.
Yeah.
If it needs maintenance, it gives us a chance to get everything fixed. So if the fire department needs to use them, they're in good operating condition.
Very good. Now, how far do you unwind that?
It's about 8 turns is fully open on these hydrants.
Okay. Okay, now that you're turning that, is there something that's inside the hydrant and way down in the ground that is getting fixed or turned off and on?
Yes. There's actually a rod that goes from the top of the fire hydrant all the way to the bottom. Most of them in the city are about 8.5 feet down. And there's a valve below there with the rod connected to it. What I'm doing when I turn this is pushing the rod down. It's opening the valve into the flow, and it's allowing that water to come up.
Sure.
And when I close it, it just simply shuts that valve. And here they're frost-free, so there's a drain down there. When I shut this hydrant, the water will drain out of this fire hydrant.
Now, hey, if you have to replace something in that tube that's way down there, how do you do that? Is there a magic button where it just pops up and you can fix it real easy?
Well, there's actually some bolts here. We can take this bonnet off, and we have a long wrench that goes down the full width, and we can unscrew it, and we can pull that up. We call it the guts of the hydrant. We can pull that out, and we can replace all the parts in there and make it just like new.
So could I put on the bonnet, and then you could show me the guts?
Yeah, we could take a look at one.
Yeah, I'd really like to see what it looks like. Is there a place
we got
around
one
here?
up at our water tower. We could go up there and take a look at it.
Hey, that's great. Hey, can I ride with you in the city vehicle?
Yeah, you come in. We got to buckle up.
Oh, I'll buckle up for sure, but I'm going to stick my head out.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's do it, man. Ha-ha! Hey, I'm in the co-pilot seat. Hey, Troy, let's head up to the water tower and see the guts of the hydrant. Here we go. Ha ha. Go for it, man. Ha ha. Oh my. Oh goodness. Oh wow, look at that. Can you believe that? Troy, is this actually the pipe that's underneath all fire hydrants here in the city of Lakeville?
That's correct.
Oh, that's amazing. Now if we look inside here, is that little valve that you were talking about when you were spinning the thing at the top of the fire hydrant?
Yep, that's the valve you see there. That opens up into the flow, and that allows the water to come up through the fire hydrant.
That's amazing. So anytime you have to do, any type of this deeper repair towards the bottom, you have to dig this whole thing up?
Yes, they do require excavation.
Wow, very, very good. Now, does the city keep any of these, like in the garage someplace? So if the whole thing, which doesn't happen very often, if the whole thing fails, do they have one sitting waiting just in case?
Yep, we keep about 6 of them in stock, so if we need them, we can pull them out of the tower here and put them into use.
Very good. Now, as long as we're here at the water tower, can I go climb on the water tower?
No.
Could I go change the name from Lakeville to Scratchville?
No.
Maybe we should just finish up and leave then.
That'd be a good idea.
All right, let's go. Hey, well, I want to thank you so much, Troy, for showing me the ins and outs and the ups and downs of fire hydrants here in the city of Lakeville.
Hey, no problem, Scratch.
All right, well, you have a good rest of your day, all right?
Yep.
We'll see you later. Hey, take care, Troy. And hey, this is Scratch the Fire Dog, because I like to scratch out the fires and, what did I just do? I came with Troy in that truck, and now I'm stuck here in the middle of land where there's just a water tower. Ah, Troy, come back! Hey, I need you to take me home!
Thanks for joining us for another edition of On Call. If you have questions, comments, an idea for the program, or would like to send a question in for Ask the Firefighter, please call 952-985-4700 or send an email to the address at the bottom of your screen. Thanks for joining us, and all fire units are clear.